Are you a business owner stuck in fear, doubt, and worry about what the marketplace will look like in the future? Then this show is for you. Strap on your seatbelt and get ready to disrupt and innovate. Here's your host, Lisa Levy.
Allow me to introduce Alara Sage, a transformational coach and spiritual mentor on a mission to help trailblazers and change makers embody true wealth consciousness. Alara's journey took a pivotal turn in 2015 when she experienced a spontaneous spiritual awakening that set her on a path of self-discovery, power, and authentic sexual liberation. From overcoming deep shame and trauma to watching her successful business collapse in 2021 after all of her money was stolen, Alara's story is one of resilience, transformation, and finding power in the face of adversity. It is my great pleasure to introduce Alara. Welcome to the conversation.
Thank you so much for that beautiful introduction, Lisa.
Absolutely, it's my pleasure. I bring people into this room to have conversations with me who are disrupting the status quo, challenging norms, and in some ways driving innovation. And whether that's in our business, in our thinking, and how we show up as people, the more we test those boundaries, the more interesting the conversations are. So, Alara, I set the stage a little bit, but will you share a little bit more about your journey and why what you're doing today is so important?
Yeah, so as you mentioned, Lisa, I had all of my money stolen. So in 2021, I was running a really successful six-figure spiritual mentorship business and enjoying everything I did. And then I was actually told by my higher self, by my inner authority, my inner guidance, my intuition, that my money was going to be stolen. It was a karmic deed. That didn't necessarily make it any easier. When it happened, I've always had the knowing of how to create my reality. Even since I was a little girl, people would say, "How do you do it?" And I'd be like, "How do I do what?" And they would say, "How do you just want something and you get it." And I didn't really know how. I was always just really good at it. I would want something and I would manifest it. Over the years of my spiritual development, I've learned how, but it's always been something that I was good at. So when my money was stolen, I just was like, you know what? I got this, right? Like it's just money. And I set about doing all the things that I know how to do to create. And instead of the wealth being rebuilt, like I had set my intention on, my six-figure business collapsed. Less clients came in, all of the money went away. I went down to negative numbers and I, jaw dropped, right? What is going on? And I was shown by, again, my inner authority, how I held a lot of shame around money. I held a lot of limiting beliefs around money. I held shame around my sexual energy, my sexual power. And I was asked to really face some parts of myself that even as a spiritual person, I had kind of like, you know what, I just won't look at that right now. I'll just pretend that doesn't exist because I had money, right? I had money. So why do I even need to go in this, right? Like I have the money. But the structure, the foundation that my business was built on these limiting beliefs around money, was built on this wounded relationship to money and sexual trauma. And I was shown how the conversation of power, personal power, money, and sexual energy are all the same. And boy, did I shift a lot of energy. Did I really rewire my subconscious mind? And I was able to recreate my business, but it feels different. I feel the foundation through which I created this on. My relationship to money has, I feel like there's always room for more, but it's healed. I have a good relationship with money now. And it's very much my mission to help change makers, leaders, trailblazers to shepherd in what I call this new era of wealth consciousness, because I want those people who it matters to them. It matters to them the frequency, the belief structures that they're creating their money from, and that we are here to create wealth in service to humanity, in service to all of us as one.
And that's, it's a horrible journey. And I find that in some conversations that I've had over time, women have a stranger relationship with money. And as you just described, the connection between personal power, money, and sexual energy, I'm curious if that dynamic is kind of that root cause that hangs so many of us up. And we're taught to live in a scarcity mindset growing up. And is there a connection between that mindset and how we, that paradigm between personal power, money, and sexual energy?
Yes, there are so many, but to sum it up, we're not taught to be in our power, like you said, specifically women, but it goes both for men and women. We're not taught to be in our power. Second off, we're the reflection that we have of power, aka the governmental system, the banking system, those who are, our leaders, are largely in the energy of what I call force, not power. True power is really here to serve the whole at the highest good of all. Force is like the crabs crawling out of the bucket, right? They'll do whatever they can
Yeah.
to get out. And if that means stepping on all the other ones, poking out an eye, so be it, right? So our reflection of power has been radically distorted, and it makes most of us not want it, right? Like if you're a person who's centered in the heart, you're like, why do I want to have power? It's just manipulative and greedy. And that goes as well for money. The people who, not everybody, we have very beautiful people in our society and in humanity who have money, but it hasn't always been that way. And it definitely has been utilized in the form of manipulation. And we have been taught that there is lack, right? I mean, we experience that in the economy. Oh, there's a surplus. Oh, now there's lack. Oh, there's a surplus. Oh, now there's lack. Meanwhile, it's proven time and time again, statistically, that many people, many businesses thrive in economic recession. And meanwhile, more money is being printed. So where is the lack really? And then the third one, the sexual energy, it's very similar. Our sexual energy, if you just think about it for a moment, it creates life. It is what is called creative life force energy. Literally, through the act of sex, we create little humans. I mean, how glorious, how magical is that? But the energy of our sexual energy is how we create our physical reality as well. And humans have this very distorted relationship to our sexual energy. I'm not even talking the act of sex. I just mean our own personal sexual energy. We misunderstand it. We believe it's wrong, sinful, when it's very innocent and just part of being human. And
Without it, there
again,
would be
very
no
much,
more humans.
exactly, like literally.
I mean, fundamentally, it's required.
And again, just part of our personal power because it's how we create our physical reality.
So, in this, you started talking about finding and connecting to how you create and building into the idea of wealth, getting to wealth or wealth consciousness. Sorry, it's here. It just had a hard time coming out the mouth. Wealth consciousness. How do we engage into the mechanics of quantum reality to start creating for ourselves? Where do we start?
Such a delicious, yes. First, it's about understanding that, and again, this is now being proven scientifically that for one, there is a quantum field, and guess what? We're all connected. And two, everything is vibrational. So right now, all of your belief structures, they get programmed into your cells. Again, this is proven biologically now through signals that you're giving yourself. And so your cells are literally vibrating at the belief structures that are in your subconscious mind, not your conscious mind, your subconscious mind. So you are emitting a particular frequency based off of all of your beliefs, your experiences, your traumas, your genetics, etc. And that frequency is emitting into the quantum reality and creating a reflection in a physical reality. First and foremost, it's about understanding that vibration in and of yourself is what you are creating from now. So if you want something different, You have to literally vibrate at a different frequency. And it's all rooted in belief structure. So it's about understanding I am this person now. This is who I am. And I want to be, and I'll just put numbers to it because it's easier sometimes for our mind to think of numbers. Let's say you're a person who's making $20,000 a month, and you want to be a person who's making $50,000 a month. There is an actual vibrational difference between you and that person, which exists. And these vibrations are based off of your belief structures, and therefore the actions that you take based on those belief structures. So it's about becoming aware of what belief structures are holding you in your current state of being. What belief structures do you need to learn and reprogram the computer of your mind so that you can begin to vibrate at that desired vibratory state, is what I call it. And what actions do you need to take to bring that into your physical reality? So a very basic way of saying this is there's the version of you, there's a version you want to be. What does that version of you, how does he or she act? What do they do on a daily basis that makes them them? What are their patterns, their behaviors, their habits? So what patterns, behavior, habits do you need to start taking on now to become that version of you? And what patterns, behaviors, habits do you have now that that version of you does not have that you need to let go of?
And some of that ties back into those ideas of shame, of limiting beliefs, of those things that we have to deprogram, unprogram, simply, you said it even easier, let go of, so that we can step into the potential of what we want for ourselves in the future. That sounds
Yes.
easy, Alara. Not. Right? Changing behavior is hard. Humans, we get really ingrained in things, especially the behaviors that we're talking about here that are so ingrained and were probably taught to us and reinforced through our entire childhood. And then we were so good at remembering them. Our adult minds continue to say the things that we heard when we were children, whether they're true or not. They're still there. How do you let go?
It's always about awareness, because you have to understand what is the belief structure. And the truth is that 95% of our day is actually run via our subconscious mind. And only 5% of that day are you in a state of conscious awareness for most people. When you're in a state of thought, your conscious awareness is turned inward. That means that you are acting and reacting subconsciously. So all of those limiting beliefs that are there in your subconscious mind are the ones that are showing up for the play of your life. So first and foremost, it's about learning to become more present in your body and in the moment. And that takes practice. I recommend using your breath, setting timers on your phone every so often, just taking a nice deep breath into the body, bringing your awareness to the here and now. The more that you do that, the more you start to really enjoy being in the present moment. And when you're in the present moment, you can start to notice when you are in a state of reaction and when you're in a state of conscious decision choice making. And then you will start to see very clearly the moments where those limiting beliefs go, oh, I don't know, I don't want to do this, or I want to do this instead, or remember that time, remember last time we tried to do this. You'll be very, very conscious of it. And then you can breathe into your body. And in those moments, take the action that you know is really true for you and let go of the actions that aren't serving you anymore.
And it's so powerful. And it's again, right? Being present is the first step on the journey. And what we do and how we let go of what I guess I will call the frenetic distractions, right? That vibration that we create that leads to panic, that leads to indecisiveness, that leads to overthinking. If we can just stop and break at the very beginning of whatever that spiral might look like for an individual, we have the ability to change how we show up in real time, in the moment, with purpose. And that is hugely impactful from just simply reacting to whatever the real or imagined stimuli might be. Alara,
Absolutely.
as you have rebuilt your business and your practice and you work with clients, what are some of the challenges and roadblocks that you help them overcome in their journey to truly get the impact of the work they do with you?
One of the biggest ones I find is that most people don't actually know what they really want, what truly lights them up. And I'm a firm believer in passion. Passion is the energy of revolution in humanity. It borders between anger and lust. It's this, I'm so excited. I'm angry. I'm excited. Where am I? I don't know, but it's so powerful and potent. And when I ask clients, what lights you up? Because we are in an era now, I firmly believe, of owning our desires and creating them. And that's part of wealth consciousness. And when I ask them that, they go, oh, well, I really like, and they start naming all these things off. Well, I can feel energy on the subtlest realms, and none of it is lighting them up. And then they just keep going, and then they kind of hit one. And I'm like, oh, that one lights you up. And they're like, oh, yeah. And then as they talk about it, they get completely lit. But that is just a hobby, a thing. They aren't connected to what do they really want to bring forth in this life, like their legacy. And that legacy is unique to each person. Some people want to be, up on stage. Other people want to create gardens for communities and, to feed the poor. It doesn't matter. That legacy is unique to all of us. But one of the challenges is to really connect to that so that they find that passion, they feel that passion. And that's what helps them through these moments of, gee, this is really hard. Or, gee, I really just want to go back to being the way that I was because that's comfortable. I know what it is. It's the passion is what drives us forward. And so when I've helped people connect to that, it's amazing the minute they start to really connect to that passion, how their whole world transforms in support of that. All of a sudden, that is showing up. They have all of the support showing up for them. And it's like the wave of the ocean has lifted them up and is now carrying them forward.
That's a beautiful description of an experience I would love to have. I think everybody listening could just listen to that for a few minutes and go, oh, yeah, I want to find that and understand what that means for me. Alara, if you've piqued the audience members' curiosity, how do they find out more about you and what you're doing?
Absolutely. My website is alarasage.com, and I'm on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, Alara Sage.
Absolutely fabulous. Audience, the links will be in the show notes so that you can see them. Alara's taken us on a great journey today where we have looked at and heard how it is absolutely possible for us to create our own future selves and understand what it is that we can become if we choose to follow our passions, and how with intention we can move from where we are today to where we want to be. And I love the fact that you shared a couple of things, that there are those moments, that passion. And when we find that and understand that, is that point somewhere between anger and lust. That is so illicit in my mind, but it also makes so much sense that that's where we find real purpose. It is a heightened emotional state. And as we're talking through our journey and breaking patterns and behaviors and habits, we are redefining ourselves and changing that vibration, that frequency, which is where we show up. Audience members, it's a challenge for you. Can you change the way that you think? Can you stop, breathe, and be present and in the moment and understand how you can make a conscious decision in the next conversation and interaction that you have with a family member, a business partner, and have an outcome that might be different if you didn't take that moment to think about it and be present? That's your challenge for next week. And you know my rules. Don't get left behind. Join me next time.
That's it for today's episode of Disrupt and Innovate. Head over to iTunes and subscribe to the show.